You think wealth is about strategy. You believe it's about intelligence. You've been told it's about market conditions. But I'm here to tell you, you're mistaken. It is about congruence. It is about mindset. It is about the invisible current that moves through you. And that current is what I call your mental attitude. You do not attract what you desire. You attract what you are prepared to embody. Your mental attitude is your broadcast to the world. It is the signal you emit unconsciously, constantly, and authentically. Before you negotiate, it has set the terms. Before you walk into an interview, it has already made the first impression. Before you present your proposal or ask for an investment, your attitude has already justified the value. So if you are bankrupt in your self-worth, if you harbor hesitation in your heart, if your inner dialogue is laced with limitation, then I don't care how sophisticated your plan is, you will undermine your progress at every step. This is the principle of definite purpose, and it is fundamental. You see, every thought you entertain shapes your reality. Every emotion you harbor creates a pattern. Every conviction you hold becomes a magnetic force, either drawing abundance toward you or pushing it from your reality. You are either a conductor or an insulator. And here's where people stumble. They try to mimic courage. They force enthusiasm. They recite mantras they don't feel. They perform as if, but resonate anxiety beneath the surface. And life responds to the true signal, not your language, not your goals, your essence. So let me ask you a question. What are you transmitting? Because your mental attitude cannot be forged. It mirrors your core truth. If you are perpetually worried about bills, the message you send is I am a victim of circumstance. If you resent others' achievements, the message is there is a finite amount of success. If you undervalue your services, hesitate to state your fee, feel shame for profiting, the message is I am not worthy of my own asking price. That signal becomes your limitation. And no tactic will rescue you until your signal is recalibrated. Now let's be clear. Your mental attitude is not some esoteric fantasy. It is a manifestation of your mental and emotional routines. It is constructed through repetition. It is molded by attention. It is fortified through psychological discipline. You are conditioning your attitude. Every time you accept a thought, every time you reinforce a belief, every time you utter a declaration, every single one of these becomes part of the force field around you. And that field, your mental attitude, is what prosperity responds to. So if you want to magnetize wealth, stop trying to convince the crowd. Convince your subconscious. Condition your physiology to feel at ease with prosperity. Because if your very being fights it, you will unknowingly reject every opportunity. Let me tell you something that will sound extreme, but is fundamentally true. Wealth doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your definite chief aim. Can you sustain the sensation of abundance without any physical proof? Can you carry yourself like someone who is already sovereign, even if your reality hasn't confirmed it yet? Most people cannot because they are hooked on outside approval. They require signs before they have faith. But the prosperous, those who remain prosperous, have faith first. They rehearse victory in the theater of their mind until it becomes their destiny. They construct the future internally before a single dollar materializes externally. That is the secret of applied faith, and that is how you condition your attitude to attract wealth.
So how do you begin? Step 1. You must reclaim authorship of your identity. You must delete the narrative that was installed in you by limited mentors, doubtful influencers, mediocre peers, and a culture that romanticizes hardship. You were not born with lack. You were programmed to expect it. You were taught to distrust wealth, to link it with stress, shallowness, or moral compromise. And if you cling to these subconscious blocks, no matter how faint, you are repelling the very thing you claim to pursue. Money has no allegiance. It moves to those who are most mentally receptive to it. If your attitude is saturated with unworthiness, it will avoid you. If your attitude is imbued with expectation and prosperity, it will seek you out. So I ask you again, what are you transmitting? You cannot afford to navigate this world on autopilot. Every eye roll, every excuse, every instant of self-doubt is conditioning your attitude to accept mediocrity. But every gesture of thankfulness, every second spent mentally rehearsing your financial future, every bit of bravery to declare, "I am worthy of more," that is how you reprogram your mindset. There are no bypasses, there are no special cases. This is work, but it is transformational work. Now, here's something most people overlook. You must not just think prosperous, you must feel prosperous. Wealth is not just a figure in a statement. It is an emotional state. It feels like safety. It feels like autonomy. It feels like possibility. And unless your nervous system learns to generate those emotions now, you will unconsciously reject your wealth when it finally appears. This is why so many sudden wealth recipients lose it all. Their mindset was incompatible with the fortune. Their attitude was still one of anxiety, unworthiness, and lack. And so the money had to depart, because mindset demands alignment. So ask yourself, how can I cultivate the feeling of wealth today? Even if your balance shows nothing, can you speak with unwavering conviction? Can you make decisions from a place of power? Can you operate like someone who understands their value without negotiation? That is wealth conditioning. That is attitude training. Let's go deeper now. You must eliminate the people, the routines, and the spaces that weaken your signal. You can't cultivate a magnetic attitude while consuming negativity. You can't build unshakable belief while indulging in criticism. You can't think like a visionary while absorbing content that celebrates the average. What you ingest becomes what you project. So protect your mindset, study wealth, discuss wealth, embody wealth. Surround yourself with those who inspire you to level up, not those who chain you to fear. Let me tell you the truth no one wants to hear. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and the wealth you deserve is the old identity that refuses to die. The identity that plays safe. The identity that hesitates. The identity that craves approval more than it craves liberation. That identity has a feeble signal. That identity pleads. That identity repels resources because it is terrified of responsibility. You must shed that skin, not eventually, not when it's easy, but now.
The moment you stop negotiating your value, the moment you stop hiding your capabilities, the moment you decide to no longer tolerate lack, drama, or emotional instability, that is the moment your attitude becomes irresistible. You enter a space and people sense it. You communicate and people lean in. You make a request and pathways clear. Not because you're fortunate, but because you've conditioned your mindset.
Your mental attitude is not permanent. It is fluid. It is shaped by every conviction, declaration, and deed. You are always conditioning it, knowingly or not, so condition it with purpose. Proclaim every day, I am prosperity in action. I am in harmony with abundance. I do not pursue, I magnetize. I release unworthiness and welcome growth. Say these not to influence others, but to reprogram your own core. And finally, trust this. The more you embody wealth, the less you will need to display anything. You will not need to announce your wins. You will not need to prove your merit. Your mental attitude will communicate for you. Condition it, fortify it, honor it, and wealth will respond. You must understand, wealth is not earned by labor alone. If it were, the most diligent laborers would be the wealthiest, but they are not, and that paradox should shock you awake. It is not toil alone that unlocks fortune. It is alignment. You could hustle relentlessly, drive yourself to burnout, create enterprises, ascend professional hierarchies, master methodologies. But if the signal you're broadcasting is one of internal scarcity, you will subvert every achievement. You will attract distrust, obstacles, misunderstandings, lost openings. Why? Because your mental attitude doesn't deceive. And you may say, but I'm thinking empowering thoughts. I'm visualizing my goals. I'm using affirmations. Then I ask you, are you feeling them? You see, this is where most fail. They speak abundance with their lips, but tremble with lack in their body. They chant abundance in the morning, and by lunchtime they are stressed about expenses. They meditate for 15 minutes, then spend the remaining hours radiating urgency, comparison, shame, and limitation. That is not alignment. That is conflict, and life does not reward conflict. It rewards clarity. So let us get clear. Your mental attitude is your emotional set point, not your best moment, not your act for the public, but your standard, your baseline. If you want to condition your attitude to attract wealth, you must elevate your baseline mindset, not sometimes, but constantly. And how do you do that? Through mental hygiene, through the daily practice of clearing mental debris, through the rewiring of your assumptions, your feelings, and your behaviors so they are based in power, not in past pain. This means you must remove not just the disempowering thoughts, but the identity attached to them. You must eliminate the part of you that is comfortable being the victim, the part that holds on to struggle as proof of virtue, the part that sees success as a betrayal of your roots. That is the psychological block jamming your signal. So today, ask yourself, who am I when I am completely alone? What mindset do I default to in my quietest moments? What essence do I project before I even say a word? If your answer is anything less than power, faith, and self-respect, then that is the ground that demands your dedication. Now let's move to a foundational principle, and so simple, yet so ignored. You do not receive what you wish for. You receive what you believe you deserve. Wishing is passive. Belief is active. A person who wishes for success is still rooted in not having. But a person who believes in their success operates as if it's guaranteed. And the attitude reflects that. It carries the quality of inevitability. That's when people begin to respond to you differently. They say you seem different. They say something about you has shifted. They say, I can't pinpoint it, but I believe in you. And they don't even know why. But you know why. It's because you conditioned your attitude to demand respect long before you had the external validation. You became it internally before life could reflect it externally.
And that is the ultimate advantage. That is the invisible edge. Now let me give you a practical law to apply, because theory without practice is poverty in disguise. Here is the law. Environment is an amplifier. Whatever mindset you maintain, your environment will intensify it. If you doubt your worth and you're immersed in pessimism, cynicism, and naysayers, your self-doubt will compound. But if you begin to rewire your attitude for power and you immerse yourself with those who speak possibility, who act with decisiveness, who operate from certainty, your signal magnifies exponentially. So train your attitude by designing your surroundings. Change your physical space. Change your social circle. Change your intellectual diet. If you spend your days absorbing fear, you will project fear. If you immerse yourself in excellence, you will radiate excellence. Turn your home into a temple of high achievement. Fill it with literature, artifacts, and images that affirm your future, not your past. Guard your mind from pettiness. Protect your first hours from clutter. Reclaim your evenings from toxic engagements. Because every moment is conditioning your mindset, and your mindset is conditioning your outcomes. You are always broadcasting. The question is, are you broadcasting with intention? Let's continue. There is a reason why some individuals seem to draw wealth without strain. It is not chance. It is not family money. It is not coincidence. It is mental integrity. They say what they know. They behave as they feel. They move as if it's already fact. That level of integrity generates influence. It generates assurance. It generates trust. Others sense it, and they want to participate. They want to support you, purchase from you, partner with you, not because of your proposal, but because of how your essence made them feel. This is mental intelligence. People don't invest in proposals, they invest in conviction. People don't buy information, they buy a feeling. So stop trying to perfect your presentation, perfect your presence. Stop trying to imitate someone else's path. Imitate their state of certainty. Imitate their mental commitment. Because that's the real model. That's the unspoken key. Now let's go deeper. Your mental attitude reflects your relation with self. If you are in conflict with yourself, you will be in conflict with money. If you apologize for your drive, you will undermine your ascent. If you second-guess your own value, the world will mirror that uncertainty. So start within. Reparent your inner child. Redefine the boundaries of what you permit yourself to have. Grant yourself permission to be influential without excuse. Teach your nervous system that growth is safe, that prosperity is your birthright, not a fluke. Because until you are convinced you are worthy of wealth, you are resisting it. You can grind all night, you can connect and market and produce, but if the energy underpinning all of that is, "I'm not good enough," then your outcomes will reflect your insecurity, not your activity. Life doesn't reward motion. It rewards aligned motion. So here is a tool I've taught to many who felt trapped, and it has transformed their lives.
Every morning before the demands of the day intrude, before the notifications, before the news, before the hurry, sit with yourself. 5 minutes, that's all. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize your mental attitude shining brighter, more potent, extending around you. Now speak to it, direct it. Say, "I am a magnet for abundance." Say, "My presence commands value." Say, "Wealth is drawn to me. Opportunity flows to me. I am a conduit for expansion." Feel these words not as hope, but as your current reality. Practice that sensation until your cellular being accepts it. Do this every day for 21 days, and you will begin to notice positive changes appearing.
people responding to you with unexpected respect, money arriving through means you never predicted because your attitude will no longer resist it. It will invite it. It will declare, this person is ready. And that is the moment the transformation occurs. Now, I want to give you one last anchor in this segment. Wealth is not the prize. It is the byproduct. The true prize is who you become in the process of aligning your essence. The emotional fortitude, the mental focus, the spiritual authority, that is the wealth that no circumstance can erase. That is the power no economic downturn can remove. You see, money is just a resource. It goes where it feels appreciated. It flows to clarity. It partners with decisiveness. And when you become the type of person who exists in harmony with prosperity, your attitude becomes the invitation. It becomes the agreement. And every space you enter will recognize it. You will not need to plead. You will not need to justify. You will not need to strive. You will simply be, because your attitude has already established your worth. Let me now reveal something most people never learn in their entire lives. You do not attract what you pursue. You attract what you are prepared to receive. It is not your ambition that dictates your destiny, but your readiness. And readiness is not intellectual. It is psychological. It is emotional. It is spiritual. You do not persuade life to grant you riches by speaking well, working tirelessly, or connecting constantly. You call those riches by becoming the person who operates at the level of those riches. Money follows value. Influence follows character. Openings, assets, partnerships, all of it follows the person you become. So the only way to attract what you want is to match the mindset of what you want. And the only way to do that is to condition your mental attitude. This is why I say condition your attitude like a warrior trains his spirit, with focus, with commitment, with consistency. You are not owed wealth just because you desire it, but you are destined for wealth if you incarnate it, if you live in harmony with it, before it ever manifests in your reality. Let me ask you something important. When you walk into a room, what enters with you? Does your presence communicate prosperity or neediness? Does your energy say, I am here to contribute, or I am here to take? Does your posture reflect quiet authority or silent pleading? You see, wealth is not only attracted to faith, it is repelled by desperation. Desperation signals fear, and fear corrupts the mindset. It broadcasts the message, I am incomplete, I operate from lack, I cannot manage it, I'm scared it will leave. And when that becomes your mental mark, life complies. You create resistance, you mistime actions, you generate failures. But when you carry the opposite, when you radiate certainty, when your attitude says, I am already whole and more is welcome, that's when the floodgates open. That's when life stops opposing and starts providing. Now you might wonder, how can I condition my attitude to be that pure, that magnetic? I'll give you the method. It's what I call mental recalibration. It consists of 3 powerful rituals, repeated daily. 1. Mental inventory. Every morning ask yourself, what is my dominant emotional state? And does it support the identity I'm building? If the answer is no, recalibrate it. Don't let a disempowering state dictate your day. Challenge it, replace it, realign. 2. Alignment declarations. Speak to your subconscious mind, not to perform, but to reprogram. Tell your body how it feels to be already wealthy. Say, I am secure, I am trusted, I am a steward of abundance, I am an instrument for significance. 3. Future self-embodiment. Close your eyes. Feel your future self, not as an observer, but from the first-person perspective. See through his eyes, move with his grace, operate with his knowing. Make that identity so visceral that your physiology begins to accept it as its true state. These 3 rituals, done consistently, will begin to purify your attitude. Like clearing static from a signal, they remove the interference, they sharpen your message, they make you a mindset worth following. But beware, this evolution is not always comfortable.
When you begin to operate at a higher level, the lower patterns in your life will resist. You'll see relationships shift, old habits disintegrate, situations become tense. That is not failure. That is evidence you're upgrading. So don't cling to what is falling away. Release it. Let your former self dissolve, because the person you're becoming cannot be contained within the identity of the person you were. Every caterpillar must dissolve to become a butterfly. Every identity must be deconstructed before it can be rebuilt. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be authentic. Let others misinterpret you. Let them talk. Let them think you've lost your mind. They are correct. You have, because you finally chose to live from your core, not from their expectations. And that courage, that boldness, is what fortifies your attitude more than any ritual or technique. You want to know how the most influential people on earth became magnetic? They weren't always certain. They weren't always fearless. But they made a decision, a clear, non-negotiable decision that they would no longer exist below their potential. They declared success before they had the results. They delivered value before it was requested. They radiated assurance while still navigating uncertainty because their vision was stronger than their doubt. And you must do the same. When the numbers say no, your energy must still say yes. When others withdraw their support, you must believe more fiercely. When life postpones your visions, you must hold the mindset. That is how you prevail. That is how you become unbreakable. And that is how your attitude becomes your greatest asset. Now let me speak to a myth that has cost millions their dreams. The lie that confidence comes from proof. It does not. Confidence comes from decision. If you wait to feel ready before you step forward, you will never step forward. If you wait to be recognized before you claim your space, you will never claim it. If you wait to be selected before you begin, you will live in perpetual waiting. So you must decide right now, I am enough, I am prepared, I am the one. Not later, not when conditions are ideal, not after you get a sign. Now. That declaration, that raw definitive choice is the genesis of all attitude mastery. From that point, everything begins to shift. You operate differently. You communicate with more authority.
You no longer seek validation. You emit it, and the world responds, not because you have something to offer, but because you have become something undeniable. I'll give you one more method before we close this segment, one of my favorites. It's called mental rehearsal. Here's how it works. Before any critical meeting, conversation, decision, or launch, sit in silence, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine it already concluded with phenomenal success. Feel the agreement, feel the victory, feel the confirmation. Then, and this is key, feel who you were in that moment. What were you knowing? How are you standing? What did you embody? Now, take that emotional template and carry it into the actual event. This is no daydream. This is neural pre-programming. This is attitude conditioning. Because when your body is convinced the outcome is a foregone conclusion, you eliminate anxiety, you neutralize self-sabotage, you circumvent hesitation. You are no longer hoping to succeed, you are succeeding from the starting line, and that is the most compelling mindset in existence. So here is your challenge for the next 30 days. Do this. Take your mental inventory. State your alignment declarations. Embody your future self. Rehearse every high-stakes moment mentally. And most of all, live from the attitude of the person you are destined to be. Let others try to analyze you. Let them speculate. Let them delay. You won't be concerned because your attitude will be doing the work that your effort no longer can. You will enter situations with inherent advantage. You will feel life reorganize to support you. You will witness alignment, acceleration, achievement, not because you're blessed,
but because you are in sync. You are not a supplicant. You are not here to persuade. You are a channel for abundance, a match for opportunity, a vessel for influence. Condition your attitude until it knows that truth deeper than your fear. And when it does, you will no longer pursue, you will attract, you will command, you will become. Now, listen closely, because this is where it all comes together. You've been conditioning. You've been shifting your core beliefs. You've been embodying your future self and speaking with the voice of victory. But none of it matters unless you live it. You don't get to attract wealth by describing your visions. You attract wealth by becoming a living example of faith. By transforming your attitude into a magnet so potent, so precise, so unwavering in its intent that what you seek is compelled to find you. Most people still don't grasp this. They ask, how can I increase my income? I ask, what is your attitude doing to block it? They ask, how can I find better clients? I ask, have you elevated your mental resonance to match the caliber of those clients? You see, life is a perfect mirror. It doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you are in harmony with. That's why it's never about having more goals. It's about being a greater person. Think of your attitude like a silent radio tower. Everywhere you go, it's transmitting your code. And the people, events, and results that match that code, they're constantly searching, tuning in. The question is, when they find your frequency, what are they hearing? Is your broadcast transmitting power or uncertainty? Does your attitude state, I am a master, or murmur, please approve me? Do you stand in your truth or fade into the background? You cannot attract elite outcomes with a common mindset. So let's talk identity. Not the story you inherited, but who you commit to being in this moment, and the next, until the world sees you that way because you see yourself that way. You've got to become the type of person whose very existence resolves challenges, not by aggression, not by cleverness, but by clarity, certainty, and conviction. When your attitude says, I am the solution, people bring you their problems to solve. When your energy says, I have the authority, opportunities present themselves before you seek them. This is not ego. This is earned sovereignty. You're not pretending, you're not imitating, you're awakening to what was always yours. There's no more space for self-sabotage in the kingdom of success. If your future self were observing you now, would he nod in approval? Would he see his own reflection? Or would he wonder where the passion went? That passion is still within you, but passion without a plan is just energy. Passion with a purpose builds legacies. So direct it. And let me give you the 4 pillars of a wealthy attitude, the foundation of a magnetic existence. 1. Certainty. No matter the external chaos, act and speak with purpose. Certainty cuts through doubt. People follow those who are rooted in their own power. 2. Poise. You can't radiate abundance if your inner world is in turmoil. Cultivate internal stillness. Don't panic, plan. Don't chase, command. 3. Congruence. Your inner world, your words, and your actions must be in agreement. You can't declare wealth and make decisions from poverty. You can't envision success and skip the necessary work. Alignment isn't a suggestion, it's the mechanism. 4. Service. If you want to be wealthy, be of immense value. Give without immediate expectation. Solve meaningful problems. Show up to make a difference, not just to make a transaction. This is how you build the right to receive. These 4 forces, certainty, poise, congruence, and service,
form the mental framework of every powerful person you've ever looked up to. They're not accidental, they're aligned, and you can be too. But there's one more truth I must share with you, and it may be the most important of all. Your attitude doesn't strengthen when everything is perfect. Your attitude strengthens when you show up when it's difficult. When you say, I believe, even when your voice shakes. When you lead, even when you are still figuring it out. When you give, even when you feel you have little left. When you persist, even when you feel invisible. That's when the unseen forces start orchestrating events in your favor. Life takes note. It observes. And when you pass the tests of faith, it rewards you with tangible results. Don't you dare quit 5 minutes before the breakthrough. Don't you dare soften your presence to make others comfortable. You were not born to blend in. You were born to radiate the unique power that is yours. And what happens when you do? People start to say, there's something about you. I can't explain it, but I trust you. I feel connected to you. That's your attitude doing the work. That's the result of your inner cultivation becoming an outer force. And you won't need to chase anymore, because you've become the type of person who is sought by opportunity. Let's review what you've now learned. You've understood that wealth begins as a mindset, not action. You've learned that your mental attitude is not magic. It's a discipline built through repetition, purpose, and alignment. You've realized that neediness repels fortune and poise attracts it. You've practiced techniques, mental inventory, alignment declarations, future self-embodiment, and mental rehearsal. You've been introduced to the 4 pillars of a magnetic attitude: certainty, poise, congruence, and service. And most importantly, you've remembered that faith must precede the manifestation. This is not just an inspirational talk. This is an operational blueprint, a guide to mental command. So, here is my final charge to you. Do not walk back into your life unchanged. Don't return to low mindset routines, to trivial conversations, to minimizing yourself. Don't ask the world to confirm your value. Don't plead for scraps when you were designed for a feast. Instead, let every environment feel your impact. Let every choice demonstrate your alignment. Let every word be chosen from truth, not from habit. And when doubt murmurs, and it will, answer with movement. When fear screams, and it will, answer with unwavering belief. When they ridicule your expansion, and they will, acknowledge them and continue growing anyway, because you are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were before the world convinced you to be small. You were born powerful. You were born prosperous. You were destined. Now, finally, it is